What's up, everybody? This is Lance. I am the host of the Health and Real Estate Podcast. And today's guest is Jen Haus. She's been with Keller Williams about 21 years now. Started off as an agent and now is the operating principal and market center ownership in a handful of different market centers, which we'll go into. And one market center in particular, the Pleasanton one, was ranked last year the number three most profitable market center in all of California, which is very hard to do in California. So big kudos to that. So we're gonna jump into how she turned that around. But let's just how did it all begin? How'd you get started in real estate, Jen?
Hey, Lance, thanks for having me today. This is awesome. I love this podcast that you're doing. Let's see, 21 years ago in May, I can't believe it's been that long. I was working in another sales business with more computer stuff. And I was making great money, winning all the trips, doing all the things. But then when it came down to like the next year, they'd raise my quota, do what, just corporate environment. And we were buying a house at the time. And I'm like, I could do this. Like, I think I'm going to just go my real estate license, see if it's even something I would want to do. But I was like, kept my sales job because I'm like, no, I wouldn't want to get rid of that. Just let's just see if it's. So I did it part time my first year. Ended up end of the year getting like female agent of the year, rookie of the year, like did really well, I guess. I didn't really know. I wasn't really looking around. I just was doing my thing. But that first year I ended up making as much as I made in the other role. So I just quit that whole turkey and went all into real estate. Um, Less than a year into sales, which I loved. I just worked with like family, friends, I basically just did what Gary said. I was like, this, okay, add people to my database. Okay, this is what you do with the touch program. Okay, blah, blah, blah. And then it was just working like it does. And then about a year into it, the investors of a local market center, or my market center at the time, were getting ready to launch a neighboring market center. And they said, we think you would be a great match for a team leader. And I'm like, what's that? And I had no idea what a team leader was. And they said, we want you to go through the CV process and basically kind of a career visioning process back then, and see if you'd be a good match. I think you would be, but let's just go through the process. And so I did, just because I respected the OP at the time, and decided at the end of that 3 month venture that, like, okay, I was made for this role. Whatever this team leader role is, like, I'm like made for this. So took that role on, not even knowing really what the expectations were or what it really meant. And I was still really green in real estate. By the way, this was 2007, which was like the beginning of a very different market in our world. And so 2007, I'm launching a Keller Williams office and they also, by the way, had a $350,000 loss carry forward. So if you know what that means, it's basically they were in the hole like $350,000 that I needed to get them out of and move forward. And I'm like, okay, whatever that means. Again, I'm still very green to this whole thing, but trusting the fact that we'll just learn the process, do what they say, and we'll move it forward. Sure enough, we ended up being number three in profitability in all of Keller Williams within about a year and a half of being in that, launching that office. We had no office, we had no agents, and then we had about seven, I think, agents at the time that were kind of the core group. And then we launched it, kind of sold the vision of what we're doing, where we're headed to the next neighboring community, and grew it and did a great job to just get it really profitable and get them out of the negative and onto profitability. And then did that for about 3 years. Did that, grew the office. We got to about 200 agents. And then I decided, you know what, I want to go back into selling, because I had set it aside for a minute while I was doing the launch, thinking that's what I was supposed to do, because at the time that was really important for team leaders to not really be selling at the same time, which completely made sense. And then I did, but I felt like I didn't really get enough time to really like jump into that. And I had really enjoyed that. And I learned so much more now that I was a team leader. I was coaching the agents. I was learning all the things. And so I ended up going back into sales and shifting because there's three different stages of a market center. There's launch, growth, and then obviously you're into more of the advanced stage where you're there. We're in the so as we moved into the growth stage, I said, I'm going to hand this over now. We found another team leader. I actually moved to Pleasanton at the time. And that was another reason why I was like, we're going to be about 45 minutes away and moved down there. So I'm back into selling. I had a team, a strong team. We did a ton of REOs. We had 7 counties of foreclosures that we were doing at the time. I went to all the uh, REO Max and all the foreclosure asset managers, all the different places, and just applied this was back in like '08. I was doing this, just for all of the business. And then did a ton of foreclosures and then also some short sales, but more foreclosures than anything. We had a strong team, and then ended up getting a call from uh the region
Mhm.
and KWRI asking me. They said, "Hey, Jen, we need you to come basically turn this Pleasanton Market Center around." And I wasn't at this office at the time as an agent. I had stepped away from that. And then I was like, what's wrong with the Pleasanton Market Center? Well, sure enough, they were in a huge lawsuit with Sotheby's because there was something happened with the leadership, and they ended up leaving and going and opening up a Sotheby's down the street. So it was a huge lawsuit. I said, "Oh, sure, I haven't." They were down to about 90 agents and not profitable, like, agents were leaving in droves, I guess. And so met with them and said, "Gosh, I actually love being a team leader, but I'm gonna only if I have opportunity to be an owner at the end. If I'm gonna turn this around, then I want opportunity to be owner." And because I knew then what it took at that point, and I wanted that to a bigger piece. I was ready for my next opportunity. And so they said, absolutely, let's do it. And so at the end, it ended up taking about 3 years for them to finish that lawsuit, which was crazy. And in the meantime, it was perfect though, because I know it was crazy. So I ended up being able to really reset the foundation of the culture in the market center. And it had been being run definitely not like a KW with the culture and all the things. And so, got new staff, got everything just turned it turned it over upside down, pulled off the band-aids, went all in KW, and really just realigned with all of, the core beliefs and values that we have. And by the time that was over, we I took over as owner. I had to, I bought it, but it was at a very good price for what I had done, and ended up being full owner of the market center. And then I kept growing, and then we were only about 100 agents at the time, and then I just was like all in growing it because it was kind of an interesting dynamic because before that it wasn't the owner. It was the owners were at Sotheby's. So it was like you didn't really want to make the money, but then right. So it was interesting. But then we went all in. We grew the market center, and I was kind of wearing the team leader hat, OP hats, like all the hats at that time. But I did have a good staff around me. And then we're now, gosh, not 10 or 11 years now from that time that I walked in the door to turn it around to now. We're at about 16% market share, which is fantastic. Number one in market share. I mean, it's going really great. We have the top team in all of Keller Williams in our office that are in our, like, literally the top team in all of Keller Williams. They've gotten the past 5 years, and I just got alert today that they're getting it again. So this is exciting. And so it's, yeah, we have high producing agents, strong teams, really great culture. I mean, at the end of the day, that's really what it's about. And yeah, I know you had reached out to me because we were profitable, and this is not a nonprofit, Lance. So I don't understand, like at the end of the day, we have a nonprofit, KW Tri Valley Cares. However, this is a business, and we teach our agents business is worth having, right? We can't have a business
Mhm.
worth having if we're not profitable. And I do believe that is a huge, there's a gap that happens there with business owners, I think, and just kind of what we were talking about earlier about just the fundamentals of learning the business and making sure we're moving that forward so that we can be profitable and the agents get to share back in that as partners in the business. So it's pretty exciting.
That is amazing. I love that story. There's a lot to dive into there. Um, few things. One, I want to talk about career visioning. Two, I want to talk about how much you did profit share back with your office last year. And then three, let's dive into culture. But so first though, you mentioned CV, which is career visioning. That's a big KW tool that they use to help hire team
Right.
leaders and OPs and or stuff like that. But also it's a tool that Keller Williams teaches their agents or big teams to use to hire and employees or to bring on buyers agents or
Yep.
listing agents. Because most people they're just like, oh, this guy or girl seems cool. I'll bring them on as an agent. And then
Right.
it never works out. So can you kind of go into the beauty and the genius of
Yes.
career vision?
Yes, this tool is absolutely genius. You're right, Lance. And I have helped many agents who were solo agents who were pretty much at their max that they could handle on their own, really recognize like you can either stay where you're at for the next 15, 20 years and do the same amount of business every single year, or you could grow. And to grow, you're going to have to leverage some things, right? And so we talked through that. And it's like, if this is what you want and you want to just do the same amount every single year forever, sometimes that can be okay financially. However, it can get redundant, or there might be times where you need time back, right? You need time back to be able to go do the things you other things that you want to do. So no matter what, you're going to need leverage in there. So really the career visioning tool or the system is a leverage tool where you want to be able to look at where in your business is either gaps or that you need leverage so that you can continue to grow and do more, whether it be again to just buy back time that you need to have to go on vacations with your family or do something else that you want to do, or it be to make more money, right? And so many things. So we've taken so many solo agents who are at their max around 30, about 26 to 5, 26 to 30 units a year. They're pretty much at their max and they can't really they're not really busting through that ceiling. Well, it's because they need to leverage. So we really help them see who their next hire is and having that conversation, where do you want to go? And then making sure if they are following the systems and model of career visioning and really building a team that is going to last and that's not going to be just turnover after turnover after turnover, which you see all the time, by the way, all the time. And this is why team leaders get so frustrated because so many of them just they lose people all the time and they're on, and they're like, you spent all this time training and all this time investing in them and now they're gone. I'm not going to do this anymore, instead of really doing it the right way with the right operations. And again, there can be people that just that happens
Mm,
and but most of the time if you're doing it right, you're going to get lasting results. You're going to get strong, whether if it's a team you're building and not just a market center staff, either way, it's going to be the right person in the right seat on the bus with the right, lane that they're in, that they're traveling down as part of the unit of the team. And it's a natural fit for who they are. And they're not just again, "Oh, I like you, Lance. You seem like a cool guy. Let's work together." Right? Like, well, I don't even know you, Lance. You might not have the same work ethic as me. You might not understand where I'm going or what my vision is or how we work together. So there's so many variables when it comes to building a team. And this tool is a percentage of the total, process of hiring some great members of your team, whether again be the brokerage or whether it be on a real estate sales team, but it works every time. The ones that will allow the conversation and the approach to slow down to hire and make sure it's because they're drivers. They're mega agents who are like, no, I want it now. And we like we need to hire eight. And it's like, no, it's not about how fast you can go through agents. It's about finding the right people who are going to be in the right seat and play the right part so that you can move your team forward. And when you do it and you do that right, you're slow to hire And then you have a 30, 60, 90 process when you do hire them on, and they're not hired. They're actually a temporary role. You basically hire them as a, hey, we're going to talk, we're going to try this out almost, but for the next 30 days, we're going to sit down, see if it's a right fit. You might not think it is at that point. I might, but we want to make sure we give it 30 days. And okay, great. We made it through. So it's like a red light, green light. So you're not wasting a ton of time. By 90 days, you're either they're out, or you say, hey, I'd like to offer you the position of buyer's agent on our team, or blah, blah, blah on our team, right? Because now they've made it through that process and you have seen them work. You've seen them show up. You've seen some of the responsiveness and the things, and you see where you can coach them in the gaps and things like that. So it's imperative. I think so many people just hire quickly and they, again, have to clean up the pieces along the way instead of really slowing down and taking the time to understand the models and systems of a great dynamic workflow and systems and environment of a team.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I hear so many stories of agents, they're in a need to hire, so they just like hire quickly without doing the proper steps. A lot of them don't know about career visioning. And then they have so much headache and trauma from that past hire that didn't work out that they're like, oh no, I tried that before. But it's like, but you didn't do it the right way. You didn't properly vet them. The career
Right.
visioning, like you said, gets the not just the right person on the bus, but the right person in the right seat on the bus.
Hmm. You know
Yeah.
what's interesting too, Lance, is like even now when something comes up with one of my staff members, and I will think, I wonder what's showing up in their KPA, which is our Keller personality assessment we have. And I'll actually pull it up. I mean, they've been with me 2 years, 3 years even, but I'll pull and it reminds me like, oh yeah, this I have to remember that piece, that I want it to be this way, but they're naturally this way. So I'm gonna have to continue to coach them in this way and or give it to another team member because it's not their natural fit in that place. And I'm trying to stick it in a place that it's not they're hitting their head against it, right? So it really helps you even along the way if you take great notes during the KPA and the process and the validation. And I will say this, another thing with that is so many people will just take the Keller personality assessment and they go, "Oh, they passed. Let's hire them." And they are not going through the whole process. And it's a deep dive process and there's a lot to it. It's not that's just one of the steps. And then there's validation and then there's interview process and then there's references. There's a lot of steps that come along with the process if you really do it right. So yeah, I would highly recommend career and don't just take it once, take it and the first time you take it, it's a little bit like, oh, that's a lot. Second time you take it, you're like, oh, okay, that's making more sense. Then when you start to kind of do it and you're actually doing it and you're hearing it, it really all comes together and then you can start really understanding why that is such a great tool for hiring. Yeah.
Definitely. I've taken it once and I do want to take it again because I feel like every time you take it, you absorb it more deeper and you're at a different level of understanding. It's kind of like bold. I try to take bold every single year. I've been 5 times.
Absolutely.
And every time I take bold, I get new takeaways and
I
new
know. Yeah.
awesome.
Exactly. It's so funny because it's the same concept, right? Agents will be like, "Oh yeah, I already took that. Oh yeah, no, I took bold already." And I'm like, "Okay, well then why is you really? Because if you haven't mastered it, I come in and learn something new every time, and I've been in this 21 years, or at least it's reminding me, and it's getting you into a better habit of something. And it's the ones that are, cut off to like, "Oh, I've learned it." Well, how are you doing it though? Like, I sure you might have learned it, but are you doing it, right? So it's like about becoming that person, not just like hearing it.
Absolutely. So yeah, career visioning is amazing. And it sounds like you use that. You took the time to take the proper steps for career visioning. So it sounds like that's why your market center is so successful because you got the right people in the right place. You took the time, built a foundation, and it seems like that's why you were able to turn it around. And now it's one of the most profitable market centers in all of California, which is very hard to do in California. It's hard to get profitable market centers. But last year, I looked up the number in 2025. You profit shared back $147,000 back to the agents that helped grew the office. Like that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
No, I will say just on profit share, that's part of our culture. I really believe that. That's part of our culture as a company, and we're talking about when we say we're a profit sharing company, and, like, we if we're gonna say we're a profit sharing company, we better be profit sharing, right? And, like, no, again, I have market center that's not another market center that I'm turning around right now that only profit shared $8,000 this year. But we profit shared something, and we'll profit share 16 next year and 30 the next year, right? We're growing in that. However, if you're not profit sharing at all, there's something immensely wrong. They probably shouldn't be in this model. This probably is not the model for you, because Keller Williams, we teach that we have partners in the business who are agents. And if you're in that's part of our culture. Like, I don't want to like beat a dead horse, but that's part of our culture, right? Like, if you're not walking the walk in your culture, if you're not profit sharing. And so if we have 1 month of not profit sharing, I'm like, what has happened? What are we like? What I'm like, and it's not about me bringing home. It's about really like these agents, those months didn't get anything from us. And they worked
Hmm.
hard at some point to bring an agent in. And if, again, if it's only a certain months you're going to get that, or once they're capped, you don't get, right. You don't get any profit share from the people that you've helped grow our market center with. So we want to make sure that every agent every month that has helped grow our market center is taking advantage of profit share if they want to, if it's something that they want to do. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm big on profit share. I have like 70-ish agents in my
Love
profit
that.
share all throughout the nation. Most are in California or Missouri, where I'm from or live now. And one thing I've learned is profit share equals culture, culture equals profit share. You can't
Yeah.
have one without the other. And I've noticed, because I had to learn the hard way. I have a lot of agents in unprofitable market centers. And what I've noticed is the ones that are not profitable also are don't have the culture, don't follow the
Mhm.
system. So that's just something I've noticed so it's just follow the systems and models and be in culture. So how
Yeah.
do you keep your offices in culture?
No, you bring up a good point, Lance. And I would, anyone that would be thinking about, helping grow any kind of market center out there, find a market centers that are walking the walk in culture, or at least, maybe they've had something in the past that was a bad experience. I get that. And as long as they're willing and wanting to grow the profit share and to grow the profitability of the office, and that's part of their, mission, vision, values, beliefs, perspectives, that they are a profit sharing organization, that's the important part, and or that they have been profit sharing on a regular basis. Because if not, you're doing that work for no reason, and you're partnering with an organization that agent will probably end up leaving because they're not in culture, right? They're not the agent that you're helping bring into that market center might not end up getting what they need from that market center, right? So there's some of that. And again, I'm in no judgment, because another market center that I'm help turning around. So there's times and seasons where that might occur, and understand the story and understand like where they're at on that trajectory. And if that's the case, then great, like get on board to help them grow, right? But just understand if that's part of their culture or not, which it should be if they're a Keller Williams for sure. That's just everything to me. I mean, as far as the culture goes, when I first heard about Keller Williams, someone talked to me about it. This was when I first got my license. I met with a Remax agent, and I said he was a great agent locally. And I just said, "Hey, what do you like? What do you love about Remax?" I was just kind of asking some agents,
Yeah.
and he said, "Oh, you should go to Brian Buffini." So I went to Brian Buffini. I'm very much a like, hear about it, go learn it. Okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. But it's not rocket science, right? It's just actually following models, and someone that I go, "Oh, I respect you, so I'm gonna listen." Right. So we go to Brian Buffini. I met some Keller Williams agents there, and they were talking to me about God family business in that order. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's totally aligned with that so much. Like, sounds like something I would absolutely, would be so for me. So when I met with I went and met with Keller Williams and was just like, yeah, this has everything that I think most of the companies that I talked to had most of the same things, but something about the culture, which was the God family business and just the way it felt more, and the way that like the things that they did seemed like as more of community and give back, and the Keller Williams cares, that was a big piece. So that's what I've always aligned with. And so as I've launched offices, turned around offices, had teams, been an agent, whatever, just me, I mean, it becomes part of your normal life. Like you spend so many hours of work with your work people, right? And it just becomes who you are. And I just that's who I am. I align with it. And I think you have to be in alignment and like who you're spending time with and what you're about. And so for me, setting that pace, and like I need to be a pace setter as a leader. I need to be, and if I because originally, I don't know if I mentioned this a few minutes ago, but when I first came to Pleasanton, I did interview with the KW here, and I felt like that's not for me. That culture's, and kind of like you were mentioning, like there are some that just are like, that doesn't feel like the culture of the KW that I want to be a part of. And so I didn't join them, even though we had moved to Pleasanton. Well, soon enough, KW called me and said, "Hey, we need you to come turn this office around because this person did this and left." And I'm like, makes complete sense. Although, I wasn't gonna say, "Oh, he's not in culture." And I don't know. I just knew that it wasn't for me, right, at the time. And then it was so interesting that all the dots connected later and was like, okay, that makes sense. So, no, so when I got in here, it was just like, I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna be me, and I'm gonna like lead with me, lead with heart, and be very transparent. I'm a very open book. I don't like, what you get with me, what you get with our team. There's no, very transparent. I can have very strong, fierce conversations with people in a really healthy way because they know I care. It's not because it's only because I care I can have those conversations with people. So, and we do a ton of give back in our local community. And it's not to get a pat on the shoulder. So many people don't even know half the things that we've done in our community. And I love that because that's what it's all about. It's not about some big parading of what we're doing. It's about, wow, we were able to help this sweet family that we have to keep anonymous because they went through so much trauma losing their parents, and it's just the children's raising the children now and things like that. So it's been a honor to be able to walk the walk in culture while working and making money in an organization where you can be all in and all you, and you don't have to separate the two, right? Like you don't have to go over here and serve and go over here and contribute and then go over here and work and then go, like we can do it all if in one organization that encompasses all of that. So that part's been a huge fulfillment and joy is being a part of this organization.
Well, yeah, I love how KW is very big into giving back with KW Cares, or most market centers have their own, organization or nonprofit. And also we have Red Day once a year where all the offices close down and every agent or most agents in market centers go do something in their local community, like volunteer and help. That's another reason I love it. And then another thing with the culture, which I believe adds to the culture of your office, is before we started, you were telling me like you brought in a leadership coach for your agent leadership council and for your team leaders. So you're investing in your people, your agents, your leadership. And it was so yeah, tell us more about that, how you invest into your agents and leadership.
Yes, I mean, I am really big on leadership. I think that you can teach someone a skill set. Skill set is obviously very important. There's all the tactics, all the strategies, all the workflows, all the compliance. However, leadership is something that I think is a missed opportunity a lot of times, where like we are leaders no matter if we own a market center, or a team leader, or we might be a front desk person, but you're leading someone is looking up to you, someone, or you're a mom, you're a dad, whatever. You're a leader of yourself, right? Like first and foremost, if you can't lead yourself, you're never going to lead other people. So I think leadership is something that I've always gravitated to, not to be a leader, but to learn leadership, and really the servant leadership. And I think it's interesting when you are around a lot of leaders and some have this natural servant leadership and others don't have as much of that awareness. Like, what's the different, or what's the, like, is it just born thing that they were born with? Is it something they were learned? So I've really always been like wanting to be more and more educated on leadership, because I know what I know, but what don't I know? Right. And what am I missing, or what am I not aware of? And I want to always bring that to my leaders. So, I mean, and I think that I'm the one that is lifting the lid in my organization. And if I'm not like continuing to raise that, then they're going to stay where they're at least in my organization. They may grow in their own personal, and then they're going to outgrow me and they're going to go someplace else. Right. But if I continue to have a organization that is big enough for my vision and my goals and my dreams and theirs, and help them think differently and think, bigger, then that's where the fun is, and I really truly believe that's where a lot of the loyalty happens too. I think there's a lot of team leaders in our organizations that it's a lot of turnover, and I see it a lot. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they're already on their fourth team leader in the last couple of years, whatever the case is. And I don't want that. I want people that are with me for a very long time and I grow with them. They don't have to be perfect. They can fail forward. Like they can mess up. And like, cause I'm going to also, like, we're in this together. As long as I know that trust is a huge factor, that we can trust each other, that we're going to be honest with each other, and we're able to want to grow, and continue to grow. And I think that's the biggest piece. So yeah, I'll bring in amazing leaders to speak to them, our agent leadership council, and also our staff. I have someone jump on our Zoom next week. Because I've been in KW for a long time, I've got a lot of like friends I can call and hook me up with some great they'll do it for us. So we had a great leadership coach come out, Brian Leverett. He was the past team leader for Mark King a few years back. And although he's not with KW anymore, he has a coaching organization now. And I love how he thinks. He's a great leader of leaders. And so he's a great instructor. So he was able to pour into our leaders. And I got to say, like, there was one gentleman in our agent leadership council that was retreat last week that was super open and vulnerable, and Brian was able to really like bring things out of him that were just I didn't even know. And I was like, this is some good stuff, and it's a safe room where we're all wanting to just be better leaders. And when you have that, like, it is irreplaceable. Like, you can't make that stuff up, like, it's so good. And so yeah, I'm always looking for like speakers or books, or every Monday at our staff I'll play a 3 to 5 minute leadership video or something and then we'll talk about it. Like, I'm more into that. I could care less about the details of the team, the promote, whatever, like the slides we have on the deck this week for, it's like, okay, we can do that at some point. That this time is going to be for leadership and raising the bar of who we are as an organization, continuing to raise the standards of who we are, and then reminder of walking in that, and then it's an easier, the other conversations that most people are the forward conversations with, they're easier to have because of the pour in of the investment that we're having in the other times, then you can have printers can go out and things, right? Like they forgive you. It's okay when things go wrong because you're pouring into the right things that are the investment.
Absolutely. And one thing you said earlier that you want to create a vision so big that all your team leaders, all your agents fit within that vision. So what is the vision that you see for your market centers?
Yeah, so I'm kind of I'm always like thinking, and what am I doing? So I just created what's called the collective, and it basically encompasses all the market centers and all the offices. So we've got 16 offices currently within the collective. And it's really just that it's like a collective of offices that we now can do bigger things within. So we've got about 600 agents in that. And it's been so fun. We've been able to think differently. Like, is there other businesses that we want to do that we can bring agents in as investors in? Is there other and ancillaries that we can do alongside of our brokerages or as a part of our brokerages? Is there resources that we can get for pennies on the dollar because we have a bigger, you know, geographical location and agent count to be able to negotiate those things. So we're doing a lot of that right now, where it's been really fun to see bring the team leaders of the market centers into that group, and then having everyone synergistically mastermind and collaborate and like think bigger as an organization. Even the agents are just blown away. We did our ALC retreat last week was with all of the ALCs from all the market centers, and it was so fun. We had it at a winery. They were able to meet referral partners from different areas and just synergize and collaborate at a different level. So, I mean, I want to be number one, number two, and number three, and maybe a tie in profitability and profit share. But when we're talking about fulfillment and like the lives worth living, I think so many, the ones I'm turning around right now, one of the agents last week said in the ALC, she said, I've been at Keller Williams a long time and I forgot. She said, I forgot the culture that we are. Like I haven't felt that in so long. She was like, my gosh, she was just so grateful. She was like, "Thank you so much for bringing that back." And it's only been a few months, but she's already remembering why she's with Keller Williams. I think they were in a little bit of survival mode, and now it's like they're feeling like, "This is why I'm here. This is why I chose Keller Williams a long time ago." And they're getting reset, and that is a that feels good. That I know that like they're enjoying what coming to work, and they're wanting to be in the office, and they're wanting to, synergize with people, and they're wanting to look at their goals, and like they're excited about it. The energy is there to be able to really go out and do some, and also like get past themselves. Like that was a lot with what the ALC was about, was not just your number goals, but like what's holding you back from doing what you want to do or being who you want to be. So just a lot of those conversations that are, I think, way bigger than a real estate sale, you know?
Absolutely. I could see why now after talking to you now and hearing your passion, I could see why that your offices are profitable and that why you're in culture is because you have such a big vision and you want to include all your agents and team leaders in that vision. And
Yeah.
because you are a servant leader who is creating other servant leaders. So that is truly
Yes.
amazing. So
So
what
send some
all
so let me help you grow your profit share tree, Lance, and send some agents.
Yes, that's what I was gonna do. I was gonna say, what all, areas do you cover? Like, what market centers, cities, and all that?
Yes, yeah. So the Tri Valley is where I'm at now. That is in Pleasanton, Livermore, Dublin. It's right outside San Francisco, about 35 minutes outside San Francisco, East Bay. And then I've now got the Solano County, which is Benicia, Vacaville, Fairfield areas, even Napa, parts of Napa. And then we've got Central Valley, which is Tracy, Manteca, Stockton, Lodi, Modesto, those areas. So kind of cover the whole like East Bay area. So not as much South Bay. Like we do have some agents a little over there, but we don't have offices. But for anything East Bay, we got you.
Awesome. Yeah, if anyone's listening and this all sounds amazing, hit me or Jen up and we will get you
Yeah.
connected. Yes.
Yes.
Well, awesome. I think that's all I have. Is there anything else you wanna add?
No, I love this time today, Lance. I appreciate all you're doing and getting the word out there on all things good. And yeah, thank you so much for your time. I look forward to more.
This has been a blast. I really love this conversation. I could feel the literally the passion in the culture just beaming out of you. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. Keep up the servant leadership and keeping California profitable market centers.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lance. I appreciate you.